All right, today we're diving into something that literally affects every single one of us, food. But, we're not just talking about what's for dinner tonight. We're going to explore these incredible food technologies that are being cooked up in labs and grown in skyscrapers. Innovations that could seriously reshape our entire planet. So think about this for a second. Are you ready to see how we can literally grow a juicy burger without an animal or harvest super fresh vegetables without even a single ray of sunlight? Because that is exactly where we're headed. And listen, this isn't some far-off sci-fi dream. This is the future of food, and it's starting to happen right now. But okay, before we get into all the cool solutions, we really have to get a handle on the problem. I mean, why do we need such a radical change in the first place? Well, the simple and kind of scary answer is that our current food system is stretched to its absolute breaking point. Just let this number sink in for a minute. 70%. That's how much of all the accessible fresh water on Earth is being used for agriculture. That is a mind-boggling amount of a resource we can't live without, and it really shows you just how thirsty our current way of farming is. And it's not just about the water. The way we eat today comes with a huge price tag. We're talking about clearing massive amounts of land, which leads to deforestation. We're talking about enormous greenhouse gas emissions driving climate change. And all of this is happening while our global population is just exploding, putting even more pressure on a system that's already failing to feed everyone. It's pretty clear this can't go on forever. We desperately need a new plan. So, what does that new plan look like? Well, let's start with one of the biggest culprits on our plate, meat. This brings us to the first game-changing idea. What if we could reimagine meat, not on a sprawling farm, but inside a sterile lab? The science that makes this possible is called cellular agriculture. And yeah, it's pretty much what it sounds like. It's the whole process of growing real meat directly from animal cells. It all happens in this super clean, controlled environment, which means no factory farms, no need for tons of antibiotics, and no slaughterhouses. So how in the world do you actually grow a burger? It's a pretty wild process, actually. It all kicks off with a simple biopsy. A tiny, harmless sample of cells is taken from an animal, like a cow. Then those cells get put into a nutrient-rich broth. Think of it like a superfood smoothie for cells, to help them grow. Inside a big tank called a bioreactor, they multiply and multiply until they form real muscle tissue. Then you just harvest it, and what you have is 100% real, actual meat. Now, this is why it's such a big deal. When you look at the numbers, it's just staggering. Compared to regular beef, this cultivated beef could slash land use by up to 99%. It could cut water use by up to 96%. And greenhouse gas emissions, yeah, those could drop by up to 96% too. These are just game-changing numbers, and that's not even counting the fact that no animals are harmed in the process. Okay, so that's the meat, but what about all our fruits and veggies? Well, for that, we're going to look up. We're talking about a new kind of green revolution, one that's happening inside our cities, where farming is literally reaching for the sky. I'm talking about vertical farming. The easiest way to picture it? Imagine a skyscraper, but instead of offices, every floor is a farm growing lettuce or strawberries. It's all about growing crops in these stacked layers indoors, letting us get a massive yield out of a tiny footprint. And how does this magic work without any soil or sunshine? It's all thanks to some really clever tech. You've got hydroponics, where plants grow in nutrient-packed water. There's aeroponics, which just mists the plant roots with everything they need. And then there's aquaponics, which is this cool little ecosystem where fish and plants help each other grow. It's a super efficient, closed-loop system. And the benefits here, especially for cities, are just enormous. Think about it. Traditional farming is at the mercy of the seasons. It relies on trucks driving thousands of miles, and so much food spoils along the way. But with a vertical farm right in your city, you get fresh harvests all year round, practically zero transportation costs, and produce that is insanely fresh. This could totally change the game for urban food security. So, we've looked inside the lab and we've toured the skyscraper farm. But what does this all actually mean for you? How does all this tech translate to what's actually on your dinner plate? Let's try to picture it. Let's fast forward to, say, the year 2040. It's really not that far away. A typical meal might be a perfectly cooked, cultivated chicken breast, one that didn't require raising a single chicken, served with a side of incredibly fresh salad greens that were literally harvested from a building down the street that very same day. And the ripple effects of this go way beyond just one meal. Imagine more stable food prices, because these farms aren't affected by droughts or floods. We'd see whole new industries pop up, creating jobs for everyone from biologists to farm technicians. And by growing food right where we eat it, We could slash the amount of food that goes to waste. Okay, so as exciting as all of this sounds, we have to keep our feet on the ground for a second. This incredible future isn't a sure thing just yet. There are some pretty serious hurdles we've got to clear before this stuff becomes mainstream. And these are some tough challenges. First, there's the massive issue of scaling up production. It's one thing to grow one burger in a lab, it's another thing entirely to produce millions of them. Then there's energy. Vertical farms can use a lot of electricity, so making them truly green is crucial. Of course, you've got all the government regulations, getting safety approvals, and figuring out what to even call these products on the label. And maybe the biggest hurdle of all? Us, the consumers. We have to get people past the ick factor and convince them that this food is not only safe, but delicious. And honestly, that's where you and I come in. Being part of this food revolution doesn't mean you need a PhD in biology. It really just starts with being an informed consumer, with being curious, asking questions, and being open to new ideas that can help build a food system that's better for us and for the planet. The future of what we eat is being invented right now, in petri dishes and in towering vertical farms. The technology is moving so fast, and the possibilities are just mind-blowing. So really, there's only one question left to ask. Are we ready to take a bite?